You heard that right. I made a $10 commander deck. Now, you probably have a lot of questions. First being why, second being how, and the third being who the heck would you build a deck around for only $10? And we'll get into all those questions right now. This video is brought to you by Into the AM. We'll talk more about them later. So why did I decide to build a $10 commander deck? It's really simple. This is my form of protesting. This deck is built around Saruman the White Hand. And if you know anything about some of my most recent uploads, it has been about Universes Beyond and talking about the struggles that have occurred from Universes Beyond being a thing. So the reason I made a $10 version of this deck is in direct contradiction of the amount of money that a lot of these Universes Beyond sets are trying to get. I have gone so cheap that I don't even own Saruman. I use my phone and I use a JPEG image that I downloaded off of Google. This is the ultimate proxy. But just because I don't own the card doesn't mean that I cannot play the strategy that comes with it. And that strategy is Spellslinger, and non-creature Spellslinger to be a bit more precise. So now let me talk about how I actually built this deck for only $10. Well, my LGS actually has a ton of bulk bins. These bulk bins are full of commons and uncommons that cost 10 cents each. And every now and then I like to scour through these bulk bins and just get some good cards. And one day I thought, hey, Saruman is a pretty good deck, and there's plenty of non-creature spells in these bulk bins. I'm sure I can figure something out, and that's what I decided to do. So the LGS had a $1 bulk bin pile as well. These are all just bulk rares that cost exactly $1 each. I then had 3 other cards that were already in my collection that I just had sitting around and decided to add those in too. So that made it pretty easy for me to just add some decent cards, as well as cards that I knew were going to be really good all-stars in this deck. From there, I really decided that if I'm going to play this at a pod, it's going to be lower power. I'm intentionally not using sleeves. I'm intentionally paying as little money as possible. So if I'm going to do that, I'm going to make sure that I can at least compete as best as I possibly can. So the approach was to have as many non-creatures as possible and have a pretty good split between mana rocks, cards for the orcs, interaction, and card draw. So let's get into the interaction first. For the interaction package, we have a lot of just normal interaction that costs usually a lot of mana. So something like this, it's very just bulk card. I mean, it's not good at all. 5 mana, but it deals with most things in Commander. 6/6, and it costs 5, making our orc 5 more power and toughness. We then have Statute of Denial. I think that's how you pronounce it. Counter target spell, if you control a blue creature, which we will, we draw a card and discard a card. So it's kind of a worse refute, but something I can find. We then have Negate, of course. Negate's really not that bad. And Negate, of course, being known for being really, really cheap. We then have Repulse. You get to be a bit active, and also it digs you a card deeper, so it's kind of worth a lot of these higher mana costs. Most of the cards that we're doing are like, they're bulk cards that are like, they're not good, but they have multi-functionalities. So like at the end of the day, it's like sometimes we just need to draw a card, and we also get to remove something on top of that, and that's not bad at all. Abrade's pretty good. You get rid of most small little creatures, or you can get rid of them pesky artifacts, which you might need to do a lot of. So it's just a good flexible spell that gives our orc 2 more power and toughness. Fall of the Hammer is great, because what will happen is that you pump it by 2 and then you fight. So it's essentially a fight spell, more like a bite spell if anything. But yeah, it's pretty good. You're just gonna at instant speed give it 2+ power and then kill something. Reckless Spite, honestly, for 5 life, destroying 2 creatures and giving your creature +3/+3 permanently, just for 5 life, it's not that bad. So I will take that. Now, a thing that we do have in this deck is a lot of discard spells. And that's because us as weaker powered decks, people don't really like discard, yes, but I do, because it's a lot more proactive of a game plan, and also it makes it so that you can interact with cards that otherwise you probably wouldn't be able to interact with. So if we can see a player that's really far ahead, we can see their hand and take a card from it and make them discard that card. It's going to be really, really good for us, because otherwise in our lower power deck we're not really going to be able to do too much about it. Next is Tragic Slip, right? It's a pretty decent card. I mean, in most cases it's going to give us that -13/-13. We just have to do it in reaction to something, keeping mana up, of course. Seal of Doom's really good. You can just pump it out as early as turn 3, then you cast your commander, and you kind of just have a removal spell at your whim until you really need it. That's pretty good. Fling, I mean, obviously, you're gonna play Fling, bro. Like, you're getting a 20/20 on the field. You're gonna do that. You're gonna swing and fling. Swing and fling, baby. Oh yeah. Unburden, same reason. Also, it has cycling. So later in the game, you'll see that we actually have quite a few cycling cards in this deck. Because later in the game, if you don't need it, right, you can cycle and you can get a different card that's going to draw you into more cards or do better things. But target player discards 2 cards. It's really making sure that you hate out the person that's doing the best at the table. It's kind of the whole point. You're really just trying to keep it as equal as possible when you're in such a low power deck like this. So if somebody's super far ahead, you just make them discard 2 cards. Usually works out. Totally Lost. This is honestly not very good, but it's 5 mana. It gives us +5/+5 to our stuff. And then also, you put a target non-land permanent on top of its owner's library. So, I mean, that's pretty good, if I'm being honest. It's pretty dang good. You basically ensure that their next draw is kind of useless, and also you get rid of the creature at the same time. Next is a Silent Departure. The reason I like this is because it's a 2-for-1, right? It's only gonna get you that 1 the whole time, right? But you get to do it twice, which is nice. Cancel. I mean, it's just a counterspell, obviously. Duress, same thing. We would like to get rid of their hand as best as possible, especially in the early game. This is a great turn 1 play because you know your opponents are going to have Mana Rocks, you know they're going to have Soul Ring, you know they're going to have something, and you just take their advantage piece. So, it's pretty good. Voyage End, same thing. I mean, it gets us a card deeper if we need it. We just scry 1. If it's a land, we put it on the bottom. You know, casual stuff. This one's good. It's actually pretty flexible. You can give your creature trample, or you can destroy target artifact. So it's very similar to a Braid in that way, which is why I like it. Fury Charm, baby. So you've probably noticed this deck actually has a lot of interaction in it. Now, the biggest reason is because if we're going to not be nearly as strong or optimized as other lists, the reason we want to add so much interaction is so that we can keep up with the amount of threats that other decks might be able to have for us. Real quick, I'd like to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Into the AM. Into the AM sent me 3 t-shirts from their basic tee lineup, and I just gotta say guys, they are extremely comfortable. If you guys are wanting stylish tees, Into the AM is the way to go. You can go with basic, low-key t-shirts, or you can get their amazing stylized graphic tees as well. And they have plenty of other apparel on sale right now. And if you'd like to support me, you can use my code MTGDriver at checkout, or check the link in the description and save 10% off of your order, as well as supporting me directly. So thank you to Into the AM for sponsoring this video, and let's get into the card draw section of this deck. Next is our card advantage. Card advantage, we've got Probe. This allows us to also discard cards from our opponent's hand. So for 5 mana, we can get +3/+3 to our creature. We can then draw 3, discard 2, and then we can, of course, just make someone discard 2. So we're going to always choose the player that's the furthest ahead in most cases, just to keep the discard kind of fair. Or if we've been just, pinging someone down the whole time, we'll choose somebody else. But, I mean, making somebody discard 2 cards is always going to be great for you, especially because you're going up a ton of cards. Next is Vivisection. Now, if I'm not wrong, I believe that this still gets you an Orc. You can sack your current Orc as an additional cost, then the cast trigger will go on stack, and you'll make another 4/4 on top of that. So you will be able to kill a 0/2 or a 2/2 or whatever, draw 3 cards, and make a 4/4 on top of it. I think that's pretty dang good, if you ask me. Pieces of the Puzzle. This one's really good. You just give 5 cards deep, and you get 2 instants and sorceries. And if you look at this deck, it is pretty much all instants and sorceries. There's literally nothing else going on. So it's a pretty dang good card. It's basically it's literally just a stock up if you think about it. If you don't think about it too hard, it's a stock up. Tasigar's Cruelty. This one's really great. Again, we're gonna make somebody discard 2 cards, and it's each opponent actually. So it's even better. That's why it's in the card advantage section, because again, you're making everyone do it. So, yeah. Costly Plunder, same thing. It's going to make you a 2/2. You just sacrifice your creature in response. It's at instant speed, so usually you're going to do this in response to a removal spell rather than actively doing it, because actively doing it just means that your creature is going to be dead, and then you're going to make another creature, and then you got no protection for it. So you're usually going to do this at opponent's instep or in response to a kill spell. Dream Cache. This one's really good. You can just dish your lands to the bottom. So if you're like land flooded for whatever reason, you just draw 3 cards, and then you put 2 lands in the bottom of your library. And yeah, it's similar to Brainstorm in the fact that you're only going up 1, but because you can put it at the bottom, it's actually really good. And it's 3 mana, so you get +3/+3. So that's kind of the downside against Brainstorm, but it's good because we can put our lands on the bottom. Risky Shortcut. This is another one just from Aether Drift. It's pretty dang good. It's pretty simple. I mean, for 3 mana, you draw 2, lose 2. Each player. Sorry, everyone loses 2. That's pretty good. Ancestral Reminiscence. You draw 3, discard a card for 4 mana. We're going to take that every time. We're going to go up 2 cards, of course, and we get +4/+4. That's what you got to think. Every single spell in here is just a pump spell, if you really think about it. Dire Sight is another one. It's just a really good draw spell. We get to potentially look at up to 4 cards for 3 mana, and then we get +3/+3. It's pretty good. Village Rites, same thing with all the other sacrifice spells, right? You're going to do this on opponent's instep just to draw some cards, and then you still make an orc so that you can go into your turn with an orc that can attack. It's pretty good. Inspiration, 4 mana, draw 2, easy peasy. Again, you're going to play mostly on your opponent's turns and have something. So same thing with Enhanced Awareness. You're going to draw 3, discard a card. Again, you're going to do this on somebody else's turn, hopefully. Next is Uncovered Clues. It's similar to that last spell that we had. You look at the top 4, put 2 instant sorceries, and then the rest on the bottom for 3 mana. It's pretty good. Rin's Resolve, just a classic kind of Spellslinger card. I was surprised this was in the 10 cent bulk because it's a really good card, and it's not worth 10 cents. So the fact that we were able to get it for 10 is pretty good. Scholar of Combustion. This is basically our Snapcaster Mage at home. So, I mean, it's pretty good. And it gives us another turn on top of that. So, it's pretty good. Deep Analysis. This is just a great card. I mean, you're going to see 4 cards with it for 6 mana and 3 life. It's not bad at all. You know, you're going to get the +4/+4 both times. I don't believe it cares about this cost. I believe it always cares about this cost. So, yeah, I mean, pretty good. Read the Bones. I mean, generic draw. Can potentially see 4 cards and lose 2 life. It's pretty good. I think the Dire Sight is just way better. I mean, it's literally just a power crept version of this because you can potentially put those cards away. But, I don't know. They're kind of the same power level because Scry 2 is good. You don't always want to lose your cards, but whatever. Pearl of Wisdom. We don't have any otters in here, but it's 3 mana, draw 2. So, it's not bad. Divination, draw 2 cards. It's pretty good. And Ior Ruin Expedition. Now, this is kind of a trash card, but if you play it on turn 2, you know, turn 5 you're drawing 2 cards for free. You know, but again, it's a $10 deck, so whatever. The best thing you could possibly do in Magic the Gathering is draw cards, which is why we added so much card draw into this deck. Especially in something like this when we're just passively able to build a massive creature by both drawing cards and interacting with the board, we're always going to prioritize those 2 card types above anything else. Next, we just have a lot of cards that are able to kind of just pump up our creature directly. Give it lifelink, right? Things like this. It's going to give us lifelink. This one gives it indestructible. This gives it just fear. It's literally the card fear. So you're going to be able to do that. This is a pump spell, basically, but it's enchant, so you get to keep it permanently. And the reason we like these pump spells is because, look, you're going to get +3/+3 and then +2/+2. And you just get that. This gives you, for 3 mana, you get +5/+5. Right, for 2 mana, it only gives you fear, yes, but it gives you +2/+2, which is really good. And then Rush, same thing right here. This is a +3/+2, lifelink indestructible. It's pretty good. Same here. This is a +4/+4 for 2. This one's great. You get to pump it up, and then you get to just ping somebody for a ton of damage. It's very similar to Fling in that way, except you're not even sacrificing it. So you could do this and then Fling and probably just kill somebody. Sky Games, this is really good. Every single turn, basically, you can just give your orc flying and have it fly over their blockers. They can't do anything about it. And, of course, Brute Strength. You're going to give it a huge pump and trample, and we like that. Of course, the giant orc that you are building is the biggest payoff, but these cards allow you to supplement and have some payoffs to draw into. You don't want to just be drawing cards and interacting, you also want to be able to have some sort of finishers, and I think these cards do a great job of providing that. Last thing in here is the mana rocks. We've got Arcane Signet, Fire Diamond, Commander Sphere, Decanter of Endless Water, Sky Diamond, Rakdos Signet, Simeon's Spirit Guide, Mind Stone, Wayfarer's Bauble, Dimir Cluestone, and Charcoal Diamond. Now, the last thing I want to go over is actually the non-basic lands, because there's actually some good reasoning as to why I have a lot of these in here. So when I'm playing at lower power levels or lower bracket levels or anything like that, right, obviously mana fixing is going to be huge. So we have things like Dimir Aqueduct and Boiler Works. That's going to help us, maintain that we consistently get land drops, as well as just being able to mana fix us a little bit. We don't have a lot of dual lands besides that, but we do have an Ash Barrens, which is going to allow us to cycle it. So we're thinning our deck. As much as people say deck thinning isn't a real thing, I think it kind of is. At least it's pretty relevant eventually. So we could just get a basic land, and then we make sure that this is not in our hand. I mean, it's pretty good. Pretty much every other land has cycling. So for 2, for red, for 2, command tower, obviously, for 1 in a blue, for 1 in a black. The reason I like the cycling so much is because later in the game, it ensures that, you're already going to have a ton of mana and you don't really want lands to come in tapped, especially later in the game. This allows you to just dig one more card deep. Right, so when we're already having so much card draw, having even more with our land base for 1 mana to just see one more card is really nice, because you're probably going to see either a removal spell or card draw spell, which is going to let you stay in the game for as long as possible. So it's pretty good. And then of course we have our 3 just kind of fetches: Maestro's Theater, Terramorphic Expanse, and Evolving Wilds. And that is the deck. That is Saruman. This process has been an absolute blast to participate in. Being able to just spend about 2 hours at my LGS going through bulk bins and checking out some cards that are not really ever seen in EDH games, and being able to just add them into my deck and make a $10 deck total is great. Now, keep in mind, the Moxfield price that you're going to see is around $15.80. And that might fluctuate a little bit, but just know that in person, all I spent was $10 on these cards. The 3 $1 cards, and the rest of them were all 10 cents or less. This kind of deck building forced me to be as creative as possible, forced me to think outside the box, and honestly forced me to go with not as good options, but make them just as effective as if I had a $1,000 budget. Does the deck durdle sometimes? Absolutely. But the deck is okay with durdling because you're making a giant orc while you're doing it. Either way, Saruman is my form of protest. Hasbro and WotC want you to spend a ton of money on Universes Beyond, and building a $10 sleeveless deck held together by a rubber band, I think is the most beautiful form of protest you could have out there. Whether you think it's dumb or not, that's okay. I hope you can at least enjoy the deck building process that I shared with you today, and I hope you could try something out like this for yourself. This was a really fun experiment to try and test the limits of my deck building skills, and so far the deck is actually performing pretty decently. Is it going to be able to compete at bracket 4? Absolutely not. But you'd be surprised, it can compete in most pods. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching. I have been Deck Driver. This has been Saruman the White Hand for only $10, and I will see you guys all next time.